Hello and welcome to a hopefully first stream of Apothecaria, solo TTRPG, in which you are a new witch in a little village in the mountains, and you are dealing with the ailments of people as they come in. There's also a mystery at foot. So we're gonna hopefully explore a bit of that. I'm going to, if a suggestion comes in via chat for a thing to happen or a little flavor bit, I might just take it. You are welcome to pop those in there. Otherwise, events kind of happen as I draw cards while foraging for reagents, ingredients to cure whatever ailment has come up most recently. And for the deeper mystery, we're going to do a little bit of an accelerated track. Typically, you get a clue to the mystery whenever you draw a joker from the deck, or I believe one at the end of the season as well. There is a fast track option in the game, however, where you get one after every 4 ailments, so basically you get 3 per season. So we're going to do that, as well as if a joker comes up, basically, we'll get a bonus one. And that is purely just to kind of keep things going at a little bit of a faster clip for the sake of streaming and sharing the game. If any other little tweaks or additions make sense as we go along, we'll just establish those. I've already thought of like 1 or 2 I kind of want to do. But we'll figure that out kind of as they come up. The big one I want to say right now is the garden plots come and you can grow a single plant-based reagent of a certain foraging value or less, so basically difficulty of getting or less. It does not say how you get something planted in the garden plot. I assume that the intended thing is you get a garden plot, it just comes with something growing. I kind of want to play it where I have to go out and get the thing that I want to grow. So I'd have to do that either in downtime or as part of foraging if I have something without much of a time limit. This entire landing page I drew myself, and there are some interactive little bits for the sake of timers, clocks, things like that. For example, there is a timer for how long you can take in dealing with certain ailments. Maximum 13, and that's really just for when there's no real timer and you could just lose a reputation for seeming uncaring. So I have a little token here that can be moved up onto the clock segments and count down as things progress, as things occur. And we'll just kind of move that around. Similarly, the calendar here, I have a stone that can move to cover what week we are currently on, so we'll be able to keep track of that. And finally, for the foraging tracker, I have flowers that can go on the buds, and the buds are there so that I know exactly how many I have left. Like 13 is again the most that I think any foraging tracker can be. Honestly, the most it might be is 12, but I think that 13 came up once, maybe. Can't quite remember. I did this, like, about a week ago. I did this, it's been a few days. So, we've got a list of basic tools. We start with the very basics that any witch needs. We can eventually get helpers of various kinds, familiars, that apprentice perhaps, that sort of thing. We can get upgrades to the cottage. The one thing that I did not think to put on here is basically like a storage for reagents that we get along the way and are keeping on hand. So I have created a little handout within Roll20 that I can use to just put them in there. So for right now, that's just going to be the solution. It's not going to be quite as pretty or visible on here, but I think that I like what I came up with for the rest of it for the most part. You know, a quick little thing that I that I put together one day. So yeah, that is the long and short of it. That is what we're going into. So this is a narrative game. This is not heavy on visuals aside from what I've put together here. Instead, we have whatever we come up with and whatever the cards describe. So let's get into it. The village of High Rannoc, between the mountains and loch, near the Glimmerwood Grove and the Hero's Hollow, used to have a witch. One day, she just broke up her beehives, took down her paddocks, gave away her perishables, left a note, and disappeared. She hasn't been seen since. The villagers have muddled along without a witch. There's a doctor in town, but some ailments can be strange. They've done their best, and they've made it thus far. Deep in winter, a stranger comes to town. She wears a colorful coat, patched brightly at the elbows, a stick that looks like it was pressed into service as a walking support straight from the undergrowth, and a pack on her back. Not heavy, but all she has. She comes into the Copper Fox, the inn in town, and asks directions to the cottage of Agnes, the witch. The proprietor of the Copper Fox looks her over and asks, "What do you need the witch for?" The stranger says, "Well, I'm her niece. She said that if I ever needed a place to stay, she'd put me up for a bit. Maybe teach me a few more things." The proprietress, Ingrid, sucks air between her teeth. "I'm sorry to say it. Agnes left a while back. You're welcome to go check out the old cottage, though. She left a key with me. And I'm sure family she wouldn't leave out in the cold. Who knows, maybe she left something behind that'll, say more about where she went." Ingrid slides the key across the counter. The stranger takes it. With some thanks. She heads out. Ingrid stops her at the door. "Hey, lass, what's your name?" Viola." "Oh, welcome to High Rannoc, Viola. Hopefully, Agnes comes back soon." With that, she heads out. The last week or so of winter, right around the Frostfall Festival, Viola isn't seen very much around town. She stops in just often enough to pick up a few essentials, some things to fill out the larder, bits and pieces here and there that might be necessary for making a place habitable again after a long emptiness. The villagers ask if there was any sign of Agnes, any word. Viola says no, just a letter and the books, explaining ailments, reagents, things to help the village, and inviting whoever came by to step into the shoes for a while. Viola indicates that she's not really got much where else to go. The villagers don't really ask much beyond that, but they let her settle in. Winter rolls around into spring, and somewhere within the first days, as the snow is retreating to the slopes and the lake is flowing free, somebody comes knocking on the witch's door for the first time in some months. So, the gameplay here is simple. I've got a basic built-in deck of cards in Roll20 here. Jokers are in, I draw one, and we see what ailment from the basic set is basically coming to the door. We have to come up with a villager NPC in order to give a name and a face to the person who is suffering. And then we need to figure out what we're getting and where we're going to get it. I don't think anybody's in the chat yet, so I might be randomizing a name and a description just off the cuff. However, in the future, if you guys want to pop in and suggest a name, a profession, a characterization, anything like that, then I will take suggestions, because sometimes those are very helpful. So, for our first ailment, I'm going to draw a card and see what comes up. A king. Okay, so that might be a interesting one. I think that they are sorted typically from low to high. Allow me to go to novice ailments, as we are currently a novice, so we cannot pick from the intermediate or higher ailments list. For a king in the novice ailments, somebody has come in with pollen pox. Travelers from the cities often find that after spending a day in Glimmerwood Grove, they're suddenly itchy and sneezing. It's always allergies. Alright, so we have somebody who is currently suffering an allergic reaction to the springtime air of the Glimmerwood Grove. It suggests a traveler, so why not? Let's roll with that. This is somebody who is not from town. Let's see. There's any number of reasons somebody might be traveling through this area. There's the dungeon that might attract some adventurers. There's the grove itself, which might be of interest. The mountain has a Aurora lighthouse at the top to help guide airships around the peak. There's the lunar tower within High Rannoc itself. So, I'm gonna go ahead and I've got a supplemental, Game Master, book of tables, including random names, character traits, NPC class, things like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a couple of quick rolls just on my own desk, because they aren't terribly important. Alright, let's go ahead and say we've got a female traveler. Let's see. This person, I'm gonna roll on NPC class, so D20. Bookbinder, if that seems useful or interesting. Okay, we can say that, yeah, this could be a bookbinder that is out, it was advised to them that the best dyes often come personally sourced, especially from Glimmerwood Grove, near High Rannoc. They headed out from the city to the quaint little town to get a little inspiration, to see what materials could be found. Bits and Bobs in town was able to supply them with a bit, but they've got ambitions. She has decided that the place to go is the forest itself, to find her own dyes, to find the plants that would create the most vibrant colors for her covers. So let's see. From my name list, we have a Davanka. So, Davanka the bookbinder from the big city came to High Rannoc, and upon discovering that spending time outside has made her nose run, has made her eyes water and itch to a degree that is almost unlivable, she thinks. She has sought help. The doctor, I will say, is out of town today. So instead of just suffering through it with hankies and hot compresses, she was pointed towards the new witch to try her luck. So, there are tags on pollen pox of rash and cough, and those are the things that we need to treat, the things we need to get. So I am going to get a quick little white color. And unfortunately, I don't think I can rotate this, so I did myself in by rotating the slate. However, we need rash and cough. both of them are 1 star, which means we only need the most basic of ingredients. We don't need anything too difficult or too fancy. There is also no set timer. There is no rush. There is no major consequence for taking too long, aside from losing a bit of reputation if we seem uncaring. So I'm going to put the timer on 13. That means that we have a lot of options. Now, for ease of in-game showing stuff, I have reagents of the various areas kind of set in these notes. Now, this can still get a little overwhelming. Basically, what we're looking for is these all caps things. We need 1 for rash and 1 for cough. This is just Glimmerwood Grove. However, I did copy any duplicates over, and also the bog. That's a different area for the future. I did copy over things that are more commonly found in, say, Mountain or something, that are technically in Moonbreaker Mountain in the book, but can also be found in the forest, for example. So, in theory, I should be able to more easily search a single area to see if I can keep from having to travel between regions. Now, we are looking for rash and cough, mood senses, teeth and bones, mood and curse, burns, boils, and rash. So, technically, the foot fungus is an option. However, it is a difficult to find option, and adds points of poison, which is going to make the potion less valuable. Let's go ahead and see if we can find a better option for rash. So, wart and rash for Princess Toad, also difficult to find. So let's keep looking. It's no poison at least, but we can do better, potentially. Cough is Hair of Boar. That might be interesting because that is 5 forest. That could be a way to go. So we'll keep looking for rash real quick and see if we can do better than 5 for cough. So far, rash is only 9. Pixie fur is up in the mountains at 6, so technically I can go that way. And we're just going to have a very hairy potion overall if we do that. So I think that might be a way to go about it, honestly. Because we don't need any particular tools in order to gather pixie fur. So that is, I think, a good way to do it. Now, potentially I could do better than 5 for one and 6 for the other. However, that is a total of 11. I think that's enough turns, even with travel time, that even if it takes the maximum amount of time to find these things, I think we'll be okay, ideally. So, let's go ahead and let's start with the, scroll down, there it is. Let's start with Hair of Boar and look for it in the forest. Now, the way this part works is I need to write in the to-do list that we need, let's see, for cough, Hair of Boar, forest 5. And for rash, it was pixie fur. Pixie fur, mountain 6. All right. So those are the basics we need, so I can move this out of the way. In the future, we can check other areas as well. We're already going to be going to different places as it is. Let's go ahead and start in the forest. So, we head to the Glimmerwood. It doesn't take much time to get there. The first travel never does. While there, we begin the search. Mechanically, the way this works is we have to hit the number 5 on a card we draw. 5 or higher, technically. Cards also trigger events. So, if we draw a card and it is, say, a 2, then we get the Glimmerwood event that is linked to the number 2. We do not find the Hair of Boar, but we do increase our tracker by 1. If we manage to do so many events that our tracker gets all the way up to 5, then without actually finding the Hair of Boar, then we get to just find it. It is not terribly likely, but it is possible that that will happen, especially with any higher numbers. I think 5, we've got pretty good odds. Face cards kind of count going upwards, so Jack would be 11, Queen 12, King 13. So, let's go ahead and get our first event card, as I'm going to zip down to the actual events on the book real quick for the Glimmerwood Grove exploration, so I have it on hand. Alright, we draw our first card. It is a 3, so we aren't going to find the Hair of Boar just yet, but I'll put that up there for now. Technically, some events don't allow you to advance the tracker. Technically, some add more, so I'm just going to placeholder it and move it if I need to. A 3 in Glimmerwood Grove. Okay, interesting. On a 3, you find some boar tracks leading straight to a reagent. Draw a card and treat it as a plant of the same value. That is interesting and very in line with what we're trying to do. So, currently we are trying to find Hair of Boar. And, just because I had it up but I didn't read it off, I'm going to do so. Hair of Boar. Admittedly, not that fun to collect, especially fresh. But if you earn their trust, you'll find it easy enough. So, we are actively trying to track a boar. Viola walks through the forest, eyes glued to the ground. Perhaps she's done this before, or perhaps this is new, and she got a few helpful pointers from a villager who frequents the woods. She knows she's on the right track. She sees the marks on the trees, she sees the hoof prints in the dried mud. And then she sees something else. We draw a card and treat it as a plant of the same value. We have found a plant with the value of 5. So, real quick, I'm going to look through the forest and see what plants there are. There's Scramble Bramble, which is 3, Shield Cap 2, Foot Fungus we are definitely not finding. Ooh, Wild Rose 5. I think that fits. Do we have anything else that is Forest 5 and also a plant? That's animal. 6, 4. I'll say that if we wanted, we could probably find one that is a plant lower than 5. However, I like the idea of just stumbling upon a wild rose out here. So, a beautiful plant that the people of High Rannoc have both tried to encourage and tried to stomp out. They grow where they can get sunlight and are easy to find in summer. So, we now have a bit of a spare. I'm going to put it in the temporary spot right here. Bonus. Wild Rose. Plant. That is bones and skin. And Wild Rose is a 2-star reagent, which can be important for more difficult illnesses. Alright. So we have come across a Wild Rose in our search for the boar. Unfortunately, we still don't have boar hair. Doesn't seem to have dropped any. So we continue on in our search. Going onwards, at a 10, we have definitely found the boar. We've also found another event. While wandering, your vision starts to swim and you lose your balance. In your feverish state, you hear a voice speaking a language you cannot understand or even attempt to speak. You awake in the center of a fairy circle. What do you think happened? So, what happened to what happened to Viola when she fainted and woke up in the middle of a fairy circle while hunting for a hair of boar, but also finding one? I would suggest that perhaps she got a little help finding that hair of boar. But perhaps that help came with a bit of a cost. So, Viola is moving through the forest, and she accidentally triggers a fairy trap. The trap was meant to capture the boar itself. she falls into it and experiences that wooziness, that disorientation. The voice has spoken to her. It was a fairy coming to check and see what had triggered the boar trap. Finding nothing but a slightly inexperienced young witch babbling about the boar's hair. The fairy scolds the witch for ruining the trap. However, at that point, the boar comes snuffling by and falls into another. The fairy gets the boar, probably to keep as a pet. And the witch gets a little bit of hair, scolded again, though she doesn't understand it, and dragged out to wake up in a fairy circle. She loses a foraging point, but that doesn't matter at this point. We have found our hair of boar. Oh, one other thing is I was supposed to advance the time, decrease the timer for every event, so I did forget that after the last one, so we are 2 down. Alright, so with that, we currently have a little bit of a bonus. We have the hair of boar. We could go straight to the mountain for pixie fur. However, we have a little bit of time. And I kind of want to see if I can spend just a bit of that time to potentially fill the one garden plot that was left behind unused for us to fill. So this is 100% a homebrew sort of thing. There is nothing in the rules about needing to do this in order to fill the garden plots. However, I would like to make it a thing. I want to actively look for a plant to put into the garden plot. The garden plot's maximum foraging value it can hold is 8. And Surgeon Sap looks like it's going to be very helpful because it's wound, it's burn, and it adds a point of sweet. It is also Forest 8. So there's no guarantee that we're going to find it in time, since we have to find pixie fur as well, and that could take 6. It could take more than 6, honestly. I am going to give us, let's say, 3 attempts to try to get lucky and get the Surgeon Sap. Just 3 attempts. If I cannot find it by the time we have hit the timer 8, I need to move on, because I could be risking too much. So, let's go ahead and see if we can spend a little more time in the forest getting Surgeon Sap. I'm also realizing that I never changed the music to Glimmerwood Grove. This is music that comes with the game, with Apothecaria. So let's go ahead and get the grove going. There we go. Alright. So now that that's on, we shall continue. Attempting to find a bit of Surgeon Sap, and specifically a sapling of the Nurse Willow, to take home and plant beside the cottage. On a 3, we definitely do not find it. However, a 3 is once again the boar tracks leading straight to a reagent. We draw a card and treat it as a plant of the same value. I'm going to say that if I draw a card that is 8 or higher, I'm just going to say we find it. So, Ace is unfortunately a 1 in this game, and I am not sure that there are any plants that have Forest 1. I think 2 might be the minimum. So I'm not quite sure in this case what to do with that. It might just mean we don't get anything. Perhaps it's a reagent that's been picked dry. Maybe a little bit of, there's signs of, say, a shield cap patch, but the boar has actually eaten all of them, crunched them straight up. So, unfortunately, we do miss out. We continue searching with just a little bit more time. 7 is so close, but not quite. Instead of finding a Nurse Willow, as we trek alongside the bank of a stream, let's say, in the Glimmerwood. We hear laughter ahead. We find, in a very, very small clearing, a group of child-sized pixies. We see us coming. Obviously, we're large. We trample through the undergrowth. They know. And they laugh and challenge us to a caber toss. Each side draws 3 cards. Whoever has the single highest card value wins. In the event of a tie, draw again. So, let's go ahead and see how we do. I'm going to draw mine first and theirs second. 1, 2, 3. We have a pretty good chance with a queen. Their side. 2, 3. Oh no! Oh no! Guys, I thought we had it. I thought we had it. I'm like, oh, it's a queen. They can only win if they get a king. Ah. Viola gets a pretty good caber toss off. The pixies, however, get one just barely better. So if you lose, you must give them a reagent or be cursed. I don't want to deal with a curse right now. I am going to give them the wild rose that we'd picked up. It is most unfortunate. Tracker goes up by 1, not that it's going to matter. This goes down by 1. We have one more chance to potentially try to find the Nurse Willow. Let's go ahead and do a search. On a 5, it is not enough. So, as we continue to search, sloshing through the banks, wondering how hard it can possibly be to find a willow along here, but finding nothing, we come across a druid tending the forest. This druid tells us the location of a reagent. Draw a card, treat it as a plant of the same value. If we get lucky, it might be a nurse willow. Exactly what we're looking for. If not, we'll see. Also, this is a potential recurring character. We can meet this druid multiple times if we draw this event in the future in the forest. So, if anybody is out there, what is the druid's name? What are they like? Are they human? Are they not? If nobody answers, I will come up with one myself, but I want to put it out there first. In the meantime, what do we get pointed towards? An 8! That is exactly what we would need to find a nurse willow. So, we are going to put in a nurse willow for surgeon sap. 2-star, I believe. Let me go ahead and pop that back open. We've got 1 sweet. We've got wound, burn. Okay. So eventually we should be able to plant that as long as we don't lose it. Alright, so this druid, this caretaker of the forest, who are they? Just to start with. Let's say we've got a fellow here. And let's go ahead and, I've got a potential list of D&D style races. However, they are pretty expansive, so I don't know if I'm going to go with necessarily all of them. Let's see. An elf is a little on the nose, but, no, elves are something different in this game. Let's say not an elf. Let's go The idea of it being a Firbolga is funny. So, we come across a friendly Firbolga. Viola mentions searching for a nurse willow sapling to take home to plant beside a cottage and to keep for tending anybody who might be in need. The druid, whose name is, let's see, what shall be his name? The dice have suggested the name Hen. I like that. That's nice and simple. A druid named Hen. Says, oh yeah, I know where a nice nurse willow is. It's put out saplings recently. They're new and waking up for spring, so it should be simple enough to draw one from the ground. Here, I'll help you bind it up. Tell you a bit of what it needs for taking care of it. A magical patch, is it? The witch's cottage? Yes. Oh, good. Those garden patches, they tend to adapt to whatever you plant there. So I know it'll be well taken care of. They bind up the nurse willow sapling, and Viola heads off with hair of boar folded into an envelope in her pack, and the willow sapling bobbing merrily from the top of it. It brings us to the end of that event. And we must now travel up to the mountain, where hopefully we can find pixie fur in short order. So, the Moonbreaker Mountain stands tall above High Rannoc. Snow still clings to its upper slopes, but hopefully we do not have to climb so high. Instead, we begin to poke around, hoping to draw out a pixie and steal a little bit of fur. Pixie fur, according to the book that was left behind by Agnes the Witch. Harsh as it sounds, don't feel too sorry for the little blighters. You certainly won't after your first run-in with them. Rude, quick, and clever, pixies are some of the worst fae. Let's head up to Moonbreaker Mountain and get that music going. So, we clear the tracker. Let me pile up our cards. Alright. Jutting high above the clouds, it is said this mountain can touch the moon, though few have ever brought back proof. Travelers come from far and wide to see the gull-drake nesting cliffs, grand caverns, and to walk the beautiful hiking paths dotted with shrines and runestones. We begin with a card. Our goal is 6 or higher. On a 5, we get an event, but we do not yet find what we're looking for. As we are walking up the paths, wondering how best to either find or entice a pixie, being new to this whole thing after all, a hot air balloon weighs anchor next to you, and the eccentric balloonist offers a lift to wherever you'd like to go. Increase timer by 1 every time you get this result. Write about the journey you take together. So, the hot air balloonist, a new NPC. Who is it? What are they like? They're eccentric, we know that much. Are there any suggestions? Otherwise, I am going to start rolling again. Let's see. Let's go with a lady hot air balloonist. Let's go with the kind of person who has giant goggles, either on her forehead or on her face. And those, like, puffy-legged pants that are like balloons in and of themselves. Alright. I am not sure what that name is that I have pulled from the book. It looks like Rye, R-H-Y-E. We meet Rye, the hot air balloonist. She's offered us a lift. We say, oh, trying to find some pixies. Oh, well, I don't know where they haunt exactly, but I can bring you further up the slopes. Better chance that way. Save you some time searching if you just go up and then head back down. I'd appreciate that. Sure. We increase timer by 1, getting a little bit of time back. We have not found the pixies yet, but we wave Rye off after being dropped off a little further up the slopes, and then begin to trek crosswise and down, following some of the hiking paths. The second event is a queen, which definitely nets us our pixie fur. So, actually increasing the timer by 1 would then mean that you decrease it by 1 at the end of the event, so it's actually like a net 0. You're basically not moving it, unless it's meant to increase instead of decrease, but I don't think that's the case. Anyhow, on a queen, rounding a cliff face, you find yourself face to knee with the giant of the mountains. They are taking shelter from the rain and invite you to join them in their cave. What do you discuss? Every time you get this result, write about your relationship with the friendly Fomorian. Interesting, okay. So, as we are hiking, the sky had been clear, but it clouds over relatively quickly. A storm has moved in, and the rain this early in spring is cold and biting and sleet-like. We begin to move faster, holding the cloak over our head, when the voice booms out. Hello there! Little one, in here! Those raindrops are going to pound your head in! We duck into a cave, and look up, and up, and up, to see the face of a giant. It's beaming, it's friendly, it's kind. Let's see what this giant's name might be. Alright. The giant's name is Lau. L-A-U. So, what does the giant talk about as we wait the rain out? Probably starts with some weather we're having, huh? Yeah, no kidding. So what brings you up the mountains? Oh, trying to find some pixies. Specifically, trying to find some pixie fur. Pixies. Oh, the little gnat-like things with the shrill voices. I suppose. Oh yeah, went through a cloud of them earlier. Actually swatted a couple if I, starts patting down his arms and then peels something off. Ah, here. And it puts down a somewhat squished-looking pixie. The pixie lets out a whine. Viola looks down at it. Is it dead? They're pretty hard to kill. Mostly I just stun them for a while, and then they, pop back into shape and fly off. Okay. I might as well take some fur while you're at it, though. Yeah. Viola draws a very small knife and begins to shave off some fur into another paper envelope. The pixie whines again. And after a moment, it untwists its limbs, shakes itself, jabbers something very insulting to the parents and progeny, hypothetical, of both parties, and then zips off into the rain, where there is a decreasing volume of ow, 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 as the raindrops hit it. There he goes. He'll be back, I'm sure. So, looking for pixie fur? The giant squints down at Viola. Say, you're not, you don't look like Agnes. You're not Agnes, are you? Just younger? Oh, no. No, not at all. Agnes is my great aunt. Oh! Well, you don't really look alike. I just have to check. Which is gonna be tricky. So, do you know Great Aunt Agnes? On and off. We've met a few times. She often trekked about the mountains, searching for bits and bobs, pixie fur among them. She had a real knack for them. Don't know what she did, but it was effective. Helped me a few times with a bit of fungus as well. Yeah, he wiggles his toes. Get a little musty in the summer. Oh, Viola looks like she does not know what to think of this. Don't worry about it. Just saying, you're welcome to help me out sometimes too. Don't need it right now, though. I'll keep that in mind. Well, haven't seen Viola in a bit. Old girl getting on okay? Well, maybe. Nobody's seen her in a bit. I think she had something important she had to do, and she wasn't sure when she'd be back, according to the letter she left behind. So I'm staying in her house to kind of keep it up, I guess. And then somebody needed help, and I looked through her books, and now you're out looking for pixie fur. Pretty much. Well, I'm sure you'll do fine. Keep your wits about you. Keep to the paths, and, keep an eye on the goats. Nasty little things will go for ankles. Or, he looks down. Maybe shins? Actually, I think one of them could probably catch you in the waist. Yeah, probably. Slowly, the rain begins to let up. The giant, Lao, heaves himself upright. Well, it seems like the worst of it. Won't keep you, and, good luck with everything down there. I'm sure Agnes will turn up sooner or later anyway. Lao waves, Viola waves back, and they head in opposite directions, one up the mountain and one back down. With that, we have the 2 ingredients that are needed. Decrease the timer by 1, and another to head back. We get home. We create a potion. Pixie fur and hair of boar, rash and cough, and administer it. So, with that, Davanka is cured. We have a bonus bit of nurse willow that we can plant in our garden plot. And with that, we also get paid. So, our potion had no points of sweet, but also no points of poison, which means that we are paid the base amount of 20 silver. Our first little bit of coin from this job. Let's see, we also would get, reputation. Now, there is a potential bonus. Here's the thing. Pixie fur is rash and rash alone, so that's good. Hair of boar is cough and lungs, so we don't manage to get the precision bonus of curing only those tags that are needed. However, that is still, I believe, 1 point of reputation. Let me just double check that real quick, but I believe, from what I remember, that is the case. Let's see. Where is my thing for reputation? I believe it's 1 point every time you succeed, with a bonus point if you do it very precisely. Yep, get the potion right and you'll get a reputation point once you rep crosses over to a new level, you'll move up to new harder ailments, which happens basically every, they say every 10, but really it's every 11 because it starts at 0 to 10 and then goes 11 to 21 and so on and so forth. However, we are now reputation level 6, still a novice, but we've got 1 successful cure under our belt. Alright. As a final bit of thing, let me go ahead and I'm going to put this in our garden as part of our downtime. So, downtime is a extra little optional bit of thing. After every cure we make, we have, there we go. We have pretty much a timer of 6 for downtime. Downtime can be literally anything. It can be meeting an NPC, it can be spending some time with one, it can be foraging for more ingredients. I'm going to say that planting the nurse willow for surgeon sap in the garden takes 1 tick of downtime away. After that, it's pretty much up to us. So the most helpful thing to do in some cases is really just to go out and grab extra reagents to use downtime on foraging. However, that is also the most mechanical way of going about it. We can also just go explore High Rannoc. So, I think that that is going to be something we can do. We can go to the village, maybe we'll pick up a reagent. Let's see what is here. So we don't have a wand for Whisper of a Cat or Milkstone. We're unlikely to find a Jumpkin in that amount of time. We could find Hiker's Helper, which could be nice, and we could find another Wild Rose. So, you know what? Bones and Skin for Wild Rose, Pain for Hiker's Helper. Let's see. You know what? Let's go ahead and just do a little bit of, let's see if we can find a Hiker's Helper in the village. And if we maybe go searching for another one, we can do so. So, exploring the village. Allow me to find my exploration for the village. There it is. We can visit certain shops and utilities there. However, I don't think I want to go to Bits and Bobs right now, because shopping is expensive and I want to save up for some upgrades. So for right now, we're gonna go for this. Let's go ahead and check out High Rannoc, see what there is here. So our very first card pull is a king. We have definitely found some Hiker's Helper. Go ahead and pop that there. Alright. Oh, king is the fun one. Oh, guys, we got the quest. We got the quest immediately. Okay. Yes. Alright, this is good, this is good. So, as Viola is, kind of walking around the village, getting the lay of the land, learning what there is here, she finds the Hiker's Helper that she was hoping for. She recognizes the sketch of it. She recognizes it from the sketch in her book, rather. And as she's gathering clumps of it and putting it in her bag to take home and preserve for later, a farmer comes up. Someone who tends fields just on the outside of High Rannoc. Let's see what this fellow's name is. Ha. Shall his name be Glon? Shall it be Glon indeed? Ha. A farmer named Glon comes up with a hat in hand. He's lost his pigs. He asks if we can keep an eye out while we're foraging. So, this is a special quest, and I am going to make a special handout so I can keep track of it, because I do not have a tracker for this specifically on the board. It is a unusual thing. It is a special event that you, I suppose you could repeatedly get it if you get the king card visiting the village again. But, so technically it's repeatable. But we are going to go and put add handout. Instead of mysterious note, we're going to go find Glon's pigs. So, for every non-face card event, flip a coin or 1d2. On heads, let's say 1. Deal with the event normally. On tails, 2. You found a lost pig. I'm gonna assume that takes the place of the event. Decrease timer by 1 as you bring it home. So there's a little bit of a detriment to this. However, each accessible locale has 1 pig. If you return all the pigs within this season, the farmer builds you a garden plot for free. Guys, this could be really good. This is an excellent thing to get at the beginning of a season. Frankly, if I drew this on, like, the last week of a season, I would probably, for gameplay purposes, just port it forward to the next season. If I got it halfway through, I might just have to deal with that. So, we have 4 locations that we can find a pig in, as of right now. So we've got Glimmerwood. No pig yet. We only just got this. Mountain. No. We've got, Lock. No. And Hollow. No. So, we've got 4 pigs to find and we have so many weeks to do it. Guys, we are in good shape right now. Oh, gosh. Alright, I'm just gonna real quick put our reagents on hand. We've got Hiker's Helper, 1 star, Plant, and I don't need to note down the foraging values necessarily. I could look them up if I need to. Found in Village, in case I need to look it up at any point. Leaves can be boiled for pain. So, we now have something on hand in case we need it. Save changes. Alright, and we have a little bit of time left in our downtime. Shall we just go ahead and, let's go ahead and see if we can find a wild rose. You know, we had to give that one away, but there's a chance we'll find another. Alright, so wild rose. We definitely find it. Timer goes down by 1 on a 10. Oh, you little bugger! One of the village children has trampled one of your garden plots, destroying the reagent that was growing there. I am going to turn a child into a toad. I am going to turn a child into a toad. What the hell? I just got that thing. How do you react? What actions do you take to ensure this doesn't happen again? If you deem your actions sufficient, you may erase this event. Oh! Guys, I don't know that I can turn a child into a toad yet, but I want to. Alright. Okay, what do you do with the little blighter that destroyed my newly planted nurse willow? How do I do this? What do I do? What do I do with this kid? What do I do with this little scrap of an individual? Alright. Kid's name is Normir. It's like Norman, but worse. Okay. Gassy apple plus slingshot would indeed be ideal. I just planted that and it took so long to find. I am going to destroy a child. Yeah. unfortunately, in Kinseed, you can give the gassy apples to people, and they don't bloat up and get slingshot worthy. But yes, unfortunately. Okay. Huh. Alright. Okay. Honestly, I think that the only thing at this level, at this point, being new to the village, that Viola can do reasonably is probably go and try to talk to Normir's parents. And I think it's probably not enough. Turning the child into a toad is something that I'm going to say I can do as a more experienced witch, but not yet. So unfortunately, the event is going to stay for now. Our garden plots will be at risk when we go and explore in High Rannoc, because the little brats could go and play. So, yeah, Viola goes and talks to Normir's parents, and Normir's parents are not particularly keen on disciplining their spawn. And so Normir keeps running. But that's okay. In the future, Viola knows, and Viola could set traps. So, I'm going to say that a little bit more downtime is spent building a very basic, like, stick pole fence around that garden plot, and trying to figure out if there's a way to set up a tripwire that is child-sized but won't mess with anything else. So far, that has not borne fruit. The next option is absolutely going to be looking into magical preventatives or consequences that could be visited upon rambunctious children getting into witches' gardens where they do not belong. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just spend that last bit of time just doing an event. Queen. Another witch is visiting the town and invites you out for lunch. What is their name? What do they talk about? How do you get on? And what is their familiar? This has been a lot of new NPCs, but it is a new game, so it's not like we have a lot to reuse. We have a new witch who is just visiting, just coming through. Let's see. What shall their name be? And what shall their familiar be? The familiar, by the way, can be just about anything. There is an entire bit on getting familiars. I believe that there's not, like, a formal thing aside from a ritual you can do. Otherwise, you can just find one, or you can just, like, adopt from a shelter, as it were. I haven't gotten there yet, though. Alright, let's see. Oh, I didn't expect to feel such rage at this hypothetical child. Alright. So, there is a witch named Vin around. How do we get on? What are they like, and what is their familiar? I am not sure. Let's see. Do we get along? Let's go with NPC disposition, which is a chart that I have. On a 6. That disposition is hostile. Okay, so I'm gonna say that this is a witch who comes in with a chip on her shoulder. She's from a neighboring region, and there's always been a little bit of a rivalry. And now that Agnes isn't here, Agnes who could always put her in her place, Agnes who was immune to her quips and her rudeness, it seems, she's here looking to pick a little bit of a fight with whoever has dropped into Agnes's shoes unwitting. At first, the invitation seems well, nice. You're new. Let's go out to lunch. I'm a witch from a neighboring town over. But then it very quickly becomes clear that this is not a friendly encounter. Vin pretty much takes the lunch to snipe at Viola, to do underhanded little mean quips, like, sorry to be so short notice. I'm sure you would have dressed in something nicer if I had given you advance warning. Oh, that's the only thing you have? I thought it was just your foraging gear. Well. So you're new here. Have you had much training? You don't have a familiar yet. Do you have a wand? No? Really? Well, what are you good at then? What familiar would this individual have? I can technically draw for it. However, I'll take a suggestion. Let's see. What sorts of familiars are there? There's rodents, there's raptors, there's amphibians. You can have something that's canid, corvid. There's snakes and felines. Insects and reptiles. There's large forms like mounts. There's purely magical familiars, or there's mythical familiars. And those are the basic categories. So you know what? Let's draw to narrow it down just a little bit. 2. This individual has some form of raptor familiar. A hawk, an owl, a falcon. Something in those lines, in those categories. Some sort of bird of prey. Let's see. I'm gonna be honest, it's not a raptor, it's not a bird of prey, but it is a bird. I am thinking that Vin's familiar is a shrike. If you don't know what those are, shrikes are vicious little birds that do hunt, and they do this thing where they will impale their prey on sharp stakes, on thorns, on if there's barbed wire around, they'll use that. So, yeah, I think she has a shrike. I think she's mean and she has a shrike sitting on her shoulder. Viola is new to being a witch. She's not used to this kind of interaction. She's not comfortable in this role or in these shoes yet. So unfortunately, Vin comes out of this encounter feeling very much the victor. And Viola comes out feeling maybe a little bit down. Her garden was trampled. She has some ingredients, but... well... she's cured somebody's pollen pox. Not much more. The first week goes by. Not as the best for her in many regards. She rests the rest of the week. However, it's only a matter of time before somebody else comes wanting help. So I'm just gonna go ahead and we did find a wild rose. Be crushed into a powder for bones and skin. So we at least have a little bit of that. So, these are good to go, and yeah, our nurse Willow unfortunately is lost to us just for bad luck. Alright, oops. With that, we go to the second week of spring. It's best only to do 1 ailment per week in the game. Any more than that, people will start expecting far too much from you. Alright, so I need to note a few names down. From neighboring village. Mean and catty. Shrike familiar. We have met, we might honestly never see Davanka again, as our first patient. However, I am going to go ahead and make note of her, because she was the first patient. She was just a visitor, so she might not come up again, but I'll potentially leave that up to you guys if we ever get a another ailment that maybe a visitor coming through. There we go. First fix was pollen pox for Davanka, a bookbinder from the city. We have met a friendly Fomorian of the mountain named Lau. We have met a Glon, a farmer who lost his pigs. And finally, we've met a hen, Lifir Bulga, druid, who helped us get a nurse willow sapling, which has unfortunately died. And finally, what was that little rat's name? Normir. It was Normir. Okay. Alrighty, so let's go into a second week. Hopefully this will start going a little faster now. We've kind of got an idea of what's going on. In the second week of spring, somebody new arrives. That's a new ailment. An 8. Ooh, an 8 is hover hives. Alright. What have we got here? Hover hives, a dangerous ailment to those with less than solid roofs. Tiny hives have appeared all over the afflicted that causes them to float. The more hives, the stronger the lift. This is one with a timer, and this is one with consequences. We have a timer of 6. We need to fix this in 6 turns. So, here's the thing. We need skin 2-star, and we need pain 1-star. So, skin 2, pain 1. Now, it is entirely possible that we do have reagents on hand for this. I do not remember if we have skin 2 is the thing. We do actually. Oh, we actually have exactly what we need on hand. However, I do kind of want to do just a little bit of, foraging. This just is backup. I don't necessarily want this to be, oh, we have it on hand. We can immediately fix it, like, right now. Technically, we can. However, technically, we can also wander around a bit, because we have pigs to find, guys. We have pigs to find. So, we know that Hiker's Helper can be found in the village, but also in the mountains. We know that Wild Rose can be found in the village and the forest. We've been to the mountains and forest already. Do we want to maybe see if the lock or the hollow has something that could be useful? Keep in mind that skin has to be a 2-star thing. So Hiker's Helper and Wild Rose might be, honestly, the best combo that we could get. But I kind of want to look. So real quick, let's just see if there's anything in here. Because also, if we can get a skin that's just skin, then we can use that in Hiker's Helper and basically get a reputation bonus for being very precise and accurate. It is not something that is guaranteed. We might not be able to do that. But it's always worth having a look. Skullcap actually would be good for pain as well if we wanted to do a little exploration and keep the Wild Rose. But skin is the thing we have like an additional tag for. So let's keep looking just in case. Wound and bones, dehydration, poison, pain, nerves, spirit, curse, hot magic, curse, pain, mood. That's only in strange, so that's not going to help us. I don't see skin there. Don't see skin there. Spirit, ghoul, teeth. Okay, let's see. So basically, it does not look like Hero's Hollow is the place to look for the skin tag. Good to know. Alright, we'll skip that. Let's see if the lock has anything. We got blood, mood, senses, time, nerves, pain, boils, lungs, rash, burn, pain, all sorts of lovely, lovely things. It's scanning this really fast. Okay, actually not a lot of skin, interestingly enough. I'm wondering now if Wild Rose might be one of the only ones for skin. What do we have in here? Burns, boils, and rash. Bones and skin. Wild Rose. Yep, got that. Magic senses, cough and lungs. Spirit ghoul. Parasite sleep. Magic curse mood. Teeth. Teeth pain, senses, magic rash. Da-dum. Okay. I am very much wondering now if skin is only Wild Rose. Oh, Moon Lotus on the mountain. It does a lot of things, so that is definitely not reducing the number of tags. There might not be a skin all on its own. It really is only a bonus that I'm searching for. So sometimes those bonuses cannot be done, and I think this is one of those times. I think skin... Yeah. The only things with the skin tag that I'm seeing, in these at least, I didn't look in the village, are Wild Rose and the Moon Lotus from the mountains. I didn't find that again. There it is. Yep, and skin is always paired with something else, it seems. So, that's good to know. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Cool. Alright. So, if we want to explore something new, I would not necessarily go for the Moon Lotus, because that's Mountain 7. It is very unlikely we're going to find it in time, especially if we need to travel back. So basically we'd only have 5 turns to try to get it, and maybe less depending on what sorts of events happen. Also, we've already been to the Moonbreaker Mountain, we've done a couple events there. I would like, instead, I kind of want to go somewhere and do something. So let's go to the Hero's Hollow just for a quick run, because I can get a Skullcap, which can be boiled for pain, and is Dungeon 2, so we're likely to find it very quickly. We might only do, like, 1 event, maybe 2. And I think that'll be interesting, actually. And then we'll just use the Wild Rose that we have on hand for our, for the other part. We could potentially search for one again, if we wanted, but... Wild Rose. And for pain, we're gonna do Skullcap. Dungeon 2. Okay. Skullcap. These morbid little mushrooms look almost exactly like shrunken human skulls. When they spore, the jaws break open. The jaw breaks open, sorry, and releases the cloud like a cough. Let's go dungeoning. 1 second. I've got some music to change. Heroes Hollow. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. We head down to Heroes Hollow. Behind the cliff-sized skull of an ancient beast lies the twisting tunnels, tombs, and caverns known as Heroes Hollow, a dungeon that has grown throughout the eons under the rule of countless keepers. While it's mostly ruins, there are still plenty of things to find down beneath the ground. Children from the village often dare each other to go inside. Let's go. So, our first goal is basically a 2. We're very likely to get it. Even if we get an ace this time, it's not likely we're gonna get, like... But there's been an ace or 2 already. We're not gonna keep getting them. A joker. Instead, we get the search. So, each time you draw a joker, you find a clue about what happened to the old witch. To determine what you found, draw a card and refer to the tables that follow. Your first joker will always be an early clue, but you are in control of how quickly you put together the mystery. For a quick game, move up the clue tables with each joker. For a longer one, spend some time in each table before moving on to the next one or move back and forth. If you'd prefer a steadier stream of clues, you may find a clue after every 4th ailment, giving you 3 clues per season. So I'm going to leave it at, you get one for the first segment and a joker, or if you don't get a joker in that first segment, we'll go ahead and take one. So let's go ahead and see what clue we get. On a 10, you find or find out about an old pet of the witches. Perhaps they gave it to a villager, or maybe they released it and you've stumbled across it. What is it, and what do you do? So, what is the witch's old pet? And what is it doing here in the entrance of the hollow? Important thing is, pet is distinct from familiar. So we don't have her familiar. We just have a pet. What shall the pet be? Let's see. I don't necessarily have a chart for this. You know what? Let's say that the old pet is a pony. Technically useful as a mount over short distances or as a pack animal, but much loved and very round with the sheer number of treats and carrots it got to eat. The pony is not used to hard living, and it looks like it's been out on its own for a while. Its coat is shaggy, there's mats and knots in its tail and mane. It has no tack, no bridle, no saddle. It's skittish in the entrance of the dungeon. Viola catches it. She might have heard of it before. Letters sent talking about this silly, dumb, chubby little beast. Let's say his name was Carrot Cake. Viola catches hold of Carrot and holds on to his face and says, "What are you doing here? What happened?" Carrot Cake, being a pet and not a familiar, cannot answer. Just shoves its nose further into her shoulder, looking for a treat or familiarity or something. Perhaps it's the fact that she threw on a old cloak of the witches of Agnes's that she found in the closet. It might still smell like her, or maybe the material's familiar, but Carrot Cake is attached and doesn't want to go. Viola pats the pony's neck, making there noises. Looking up at the skull of the ancient beast that creates the opening of the dungeon. Eventually, she pulls back and says, Okay, Carrot Cake, you stay right here. I'll be right back out. I shouldn't have to go far in. And we'll get you home. Just stay here. Carrot Cake shuffles off to the side, stays put for now. We go into the dungeon. Hopefully not far. A 4 is enough to find the skull cap. It's also going to trigger a little bit of an event. Oh yes, and I do need to down that for the first steps. Alright. So, Hollow Event 4. I'll go ahead and doop that down a little bit further. Viola finds some skull caps not too far inside. She gathers them, looks up, and sees a light. It's steady, but warm, like a lantern or lamp. She peeks around the corner where it is, ready to draw back quickly, and sees a little shop of sorts run by a small, furry creature. It gestures excitedly to its collection of goods, which range from rings to swords to journals, and asks to make a trade. What do you give? And what do you get? We don't have much to give. We have the skull caps we just collected, but little else. We can always flavor something. Maybe Viola came with a simple woven bracelet that she might trade for something small. A trinket as a gesture of goodwill and good business. Maybe there's some other small token. Let's see. Let's say that this is how she gets her own journal. She trades the walking stick that she'd fashioned herself for a small, simple, soft-bound journal. Nothing fancy. Doesn't look like it's even been used. A little bit of water damage on the corner. The little furry creature accepts the trade excitedly. And when Viola leaves with a little journal in her pocket, the small creature is playing a bit with the wooden staff, making ha, ha, ha noises as he mimes attacks and defenses. Viola heads out, collects Carrot Cake, and hurries back to the cottage. There she mixes up a bit of skullcap and the wild rose. Which means I no longer have that on hand. There we go. She creates a potion to, Oh, I don't think we ever named the person who has the ailment. Oh, I got ahead of myself. Hold on a second. Okay. Let's see. Who has the ailment of hover hives? Let's say it's a villager instead of a traveler this time. We can make a new NPC for the hover hives ailment. So, if you got any input, I shall take it. Just need a name, perhaps. Just need maybe a occupation. Who would have hover hives? Let's see. Let's say... I could roll for the job again. Just to kind of see what comes up. Let's do that. For a 17... It says ceramist, like ceramics. I'm going to say there is a potter. Ooh, local hunter. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, he probably caught it from something just unexpectedly, he's unexpectedly allergic to while out hunting. Because hives are often, I believe, a little bit of an allergic response to something. So he could have basically gone into something, not realized it, and, has come down with a case, woke up from the bedroll while out hunting, hovering like an inch above it, and became very aware very quickly that, that's probably not good for somebody who sometimes spends the night out in the wilderness. Still got a little bit stubborn about trying to track the thing that he was currently in pursuit of, so that by the time he got to Viola the Witch, he was already kind of hovering like 3 feet off the ground and then crashing down in the morning, just kind of bouncing up and down a little bit. So it was already getting out of hand, and he had to kind of be dragged in by his hunting buddy. I like that. Let's go ahead and name this one. This is Xavier. Xavier the Hunter. He got hover hives, and we are treating him with a potion made of wild rose, which is all well and fine, and skullcap, which we are careful not to let him see us extract spores and boil up. Just because it's a little disturbing when the witch goes to the cauldron and starts breaking skull-shaped mushrooms over the pot. Right. However, with that, we successfully treat one more ailment. Alright, so there was neither poison nor sweet, so that is another 20 silver, and we go up to 7 novice. Alright, we've got a fair bit of silver at this point. 40 is still not quite enough. I think that the lowest amount we can pay for an upgrade is 50 silver for a sickle. Or for a hive, it looks like. So, we do need one more successful potion minimum before we can get our first upgrade. So, for time being, let's go ahead and enter a little bit of downtime. So, at a 6, I've got the feeling I should probably, like, reshuffle the deck after every week, in fairness. So I might do that in the future, just because it's getting, like, likelier and likelier we're going to get the other Joker. So, I might reshuffle it at the end of this downtime, and then we're just gonna kind of reshuffle after every week, I think. So, for downtime, we've got about 6 slots of time. What shall we do with them? We could go out and forage somewhere. We haven't actually been to the loch yet, so maybe we could go and see if we can find something useful. So we can't do Driftwood Memories because that requires a wand. A Shockfish is awful. Gasweed has potential. Just because it's relatively low necessity. Shadow Shark removes a point of sweet. That's not good. It could be necessary, but it's not necessarily good. Let's see. We've got Pain covered. Yeah, Gasweed is probably a decent call for, like, one thing at least. Slime Shell covers quite a bit. Deep Reed covers quite a bit. Smooth Croak. Warts. Oh, skin! We could have gotten the Smooth Croak for skin alone. Ah, well. I did miss that. I did miss that. Oh, well. Because technically you can grab, like, one thing for one aspect. So let's see. Mood, Sleep, and Hair for Wigfish, which is hilarious. Let's leave that be for now, though. Don't have a wand, so can't get Siren Song. Don't necessarily have time for Sea Beast's Saliva. Mermaid's Gift. Adds poison. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it would be interesting to go to the loch for the first time and just find something. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Driftwood Memories is actually 1 to gather. That's interesting, so nevertheless, can't get it because wand. You know what? You know what? Let's go for a Slime Shell, and then if we can, we'll go for a Gasweed. So, Slime Shell, Gasweed. We're looking for a 3 and a 4, or rather vice versa. And we're doing the loch exploration. My gosh. There's also a possibility of finding a pigs. So let's do this. We didn't get it last time because we pretty much got a Joker, and then I probably should have for the merchant. I did forget. So, I need to remember. I need to remember we're trying to find pigs at the same time. Let's go. So Slime Shell first. A 6 will definitely find it. So that is a non-face card. I need to essentially flip a coin. So 1d2. I just rolled a 1. So I think that is just a event normal. Yep. Okay, so it's only on a 2 that I'm gonna get the pig. So, a 6 on the Meltwater Loch. Oh, alright. Also, I am not playing the music. Hold on. Where's my Meltwater? There we go. Six on the loch. You hear a blood-curdling bark echo out across the loch, a sure sign that a Kushi is on the hunt. Legends say you must find a safe place before the third bark or it'll get you. Where do you hide? So as we are in the shallows, collecting these fist-sized clams that produce slime, trying to milk them out, getting the slime into bottles, cork one, and you hear this bark echo across the water. It is otherworldly and unnatural. The hair stands on end. Viola looks around in a panic. There's open water on one side. There's the beach on the other. And cliffs on the other hand. You cannot outrun a dog of Fae. You can only hide and hope that it's not looking for you. Viola scrambles for the cliffs. There are drake gulls nesting above. They've also gone to ground. Occasionally there's crevices and caverns. Dangerous sometimes on the water, but more dangerous than a kushi. Maybe it's a risk worth taking. Viola scrambles into one, crams herself into the dark. There's another muffled bark, but more distant. She waits and waits until she is sure there is going to be no third bark. She peels herself out of the crevice, shaky, hearing the drake gulls start crying again above, launching from their cliffside nests and swooping across the water. As sure a sign as any that the danger has likely passed. She begins to move around the lakefront. She has the slime from the shell. Maybe there's one more thing to find before heading home. She goes hunting for gasweed. That is a non-face card. There is a chance for a pig. 1d2. On a 2. Alright. She finds the gasweed, some of it trapped in a pool left by waves lapping across the rocks. After scooping some up, bottling it to take home, she hears grunting nearby. She looks around, and there, rooting about in the shallows, is a great big pig. Viola calls out, "Hey! Hey! Piggy! Here, piggy, 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 piggy! Here, piggy!" The pig ignores her. She has to sigh and go sloshing through the shallows, grabbing some seaweed and other bits and pieces along the way in her hands. Throws some before the pig, which snuffles and gobbles it up, then looks to her for more. Slowly, bit by bit, she lures it away and back towards town, decreasing the timer 1, but successfully finding one of Glon's lost pigs. There will be no more pigs at the loch. All right. There we go. There is technically 1 or 2 more pips in our timer at this point. Yep, 2 more pips. We're on 2. So, what shall we do with those last 2 bits of time? We could technically plant something in the garden. I'm just still feeling the loss of that willow. We go ahead and put these in our on-hand real quick while we consider that. There we go. Gasweed and slime shell, which is 2-star. animal. Look. There we go. Okay. So. Let's see. I think technically moving locations counts as one when you go home from a location, so I might be down to one technically. I think the very last bit of free time is probably spent narratively. Is spent, just as Viola kind of starts to, do just a little bit more spring cleaning on the cottage. She's got it in livable state, but that doesn't mean that the corners don't need scrubbing out. So she spends some time getting things freshened up just a little bit further. Oh, I like the carving creepy masks and effigies to put them around the garden to scare children away. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Alright. So, yeah, I like that. She'll spend the last bit of downtime carving out, I'll say just one for that last bit of downtime. One mask. Probably some sort of, like, almost like demon mask sort of shape. And she puts it on a pole of her garden fence. Just kind of around a corner, so that hopefully it's right at child head level. So hopefully if a little blighter runs around the corner and sees it, they will rush off. If I get, in the future, that same child trampling event, then I'm going to say that we'll go ahead and flip a coin. We'll do the 1d2. On a 1, the kid runs off, and it is an effective deterrent. On a 2, they think it's the coolest thing ever, put it on and trample the garden again. So, I think that will be a good way of testing the efficacy of that. Let me take a note of that. All right. So that brings us to the next week of spring. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the cards back in. Oh, no, recall. And shuffle after recalling. So, yes, that's how I do it. Recall all of them. Alright. All the cards are back in the deck, and we've moved on to the next week of spring. Let's see. Let's get the village music back up. Alrighty. So, the third week of spring, with the second going a little bit scary in some regards, but we successfully rescued a farmer's pig, so we've got that going for us, and we've got the first steps in child deterrent in the garden. Our first ailment comes in, and I believe we've had the king before. I think it's the pollen pox again. Alright. Yep. Pollen pox. A new case of pollen pox has come in, and, you know, we know how to deal with this. We've done this before. Potentially we could try to refine the recipe a little bit, just in case there's a more precise rash and cough combo, but I don't think there is, really. Let's see real quick. Was there the lock had the skin one that I couldn't find before. So, real quick, rash and burn, but I want to see if I can find something that's just one. Just one. So rash and cough. Da, 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 da. If not, then we will go with our old standby and maybe see if we can find another willow. Because this one, at least, again, doesn't have a time limit. So, let's see. Hair of boar is once again cough and lungs. So, if I can find a different one that's just cough, that would be very helpful. That might not be possible. Might not be possible. Gull drank guano. Yeah, it's cough and lungs. Okay. Let's see. Pixie fur is rash. We might stick with that. Question is there a cough and cough alone that I can get a hold of? Possibly not. Let's see. Nope. Yeah, no. In the hollow, perhaps? I've got doubts. Yeah, it's a lot of cough and other things. Ah, well. We're definitely not finding weird water. We haven't gotten to the strange yet. That's a whole thing. Yep. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think we're going for hair of boar and pixie fur again. So, pixie fur, mountain on 6, rash, and hair of boar, forest, that was 5, cough lungs. Okay. Yep, frankly, it's good enough. It is good enough. Let's go ahead and see if there's any chance of us getting that, that hecking, willow tree again. Oh, I can only hope. I can only hope. Okay, let's go to the mountain first, just to see how much time we end up left with. I think that's the smarter, better way to do it, potentially. Moonbreaker Mountain exploration. Let's go. So, Pixie Fur is going to be aiming for 6. Let's do this thing. Our first event is a face card, so we do not flip a coin to see if we get a piggy or not. So, a jack is definitely more than enough. We are absolutely finding the Pixie Fur. So, while foraging around some huge boulders, probably pinning a pixie against them and shaving it into the envelope once again, they suddenly grind and groan, unfurling to reveal a rather badly damaged stone golem. I've gotten ahead of myself again, and I've managed to do this without putting on the correct music. I always do that. Oh, also, who has the pollen pox? Who has the pollen pox? I did not specify that. Alright, let's see. Let's say this is another passerby. So, pollen pox. Who is traveling through? Perhaps maybe an adventurer this time? It could be a merchant, unused to the area. Let's see. Let's go with somebody. Let's go with somebody named, I'm rolling Tiana on this list. So we have a traveler named Tiana. Once again, someone inflicted with the terrible, drippy, itchy, runny nose and eyes of pollen pox. She just wants to make it stop, and she will pay well for a potion that will do that. So, this is what brings us to the mountains, shaving pixie fur once again. The boulders have unfurled to reveal a rather badly damaged stone golem. You can spend some time repairing it, but it will take a lot of effort. You may repair during your downtime. Once you've spent 10 segments of time on repairs, the golem will move to your cottage and act as a special upgrade. This is one of the rare, fun little things that you cannot purchase. You have to stumble across. You have to just find it. So, I am going to add a ticker here, because I don't have a special thing for the odd ones, just because they are odd and they are temporary. Golem repair. Downtime activity. So, technically we can pour a lot of downtime into it. We could get it done in like 2 weeks of downtimes. Or we can spread it out if we also want to forage. So, 0 out of 10 right now. We don't necessarily have the time right now. Or at least, we don't have a lot of time right now. We could potentially give it some. We found the pixie fur very quickly. How much downtime shall we put into the stone golem, keeping in mind we might need all 5 for the hair of boar? And we might not have time to find our replacement willow. But I want to get started on it. Even if it's not necessary. Let's go ahead and put 2 ticks of downtime into repairing the golem. Viola didn't come with a lot in the way of supplies, but at the very least she has some basic foraging tools. She scrapes some of the mud and gunk and moss from between the joints, things that are making the golem stick. It holds still, just waiting to see what happens next. After cleaning out the worst of it, Viola says, "Alright, I have to go, but I'll come back later. I'll see if I can find, a stiff brush. I think I can get you scraped up a little better. If you stay here, I'll know where to find you." The golem grumbles and curls back up into a pile of boulders. Taking the pixie fur with her, Viola heads down the mountain and aims for the Glimmerwood Grove. First things first. Hair of boar. Alright. For the hair of boar, we need a 5 at minimum. And there's a chance we find a boar. Okay, there's a chance we might find a piggy. Not a boar, but a piggy. We're looking for a boar. And we've definitely found a boar. Do we also find a pig? That is a 2 on the D2. We have also found a pig. And that is in place of the event we would have gotten. So we decrease timer by 1 for sure. We also decrease it for the event as we bring it home. Edit. So Glimmerwood is a yes on the piggy. So we find... What on earth is the pig doing where I'm finding hair of boar, is now my question. Is this pig on a wild escapade, such as house piggies might read about as, like, escapist fantasies? Has the pig gone to try to join the wild boars? And I have had to capture it and lure it away? in order to return it to the farm where it really, really needs to be. Have I destroyed this pig's escapist fantasy? I think I might have. I'm sorry, piggies. I'm sorry, boars. This one has to go home. This one is greatly missed. Alright. So we found that. We have a chance. We have a chance of finding that willow again. Let's try for it. I want that willow. I really want that willow. Please. A 3 is not going to get me that willow. I needed the 8 or better. 3. You find some boar tracks leading straight to a reagent. Well, there were plenty of boars in the area. Draw a card and treat it as a plant of the same value. Please be an 8 or higher. Come on! Alright, so what plant can I find of value 4 in the grove? Scramble Bramble is within the range. Wild Rose is not, at least not within the forest. Songberries are potential. Coffee Cap. Ooh, Coffee Cap actually would be pretty good. So I'm going to say that I have just found a little bit of Coffee Cap. So let's go ahead and put that in reagents on hand, just because that is potentially helpful. Doop doop. Can I just copy this? I think I can. Yeah, I can. And that is something that adds a point of sweet. Now, I might want to keep it around just in case of senses being useful, but that is good to have. Alright. So we follow boar tracks, we find some Coffee Cap. Useful, but not necessarily what we're after. We continue to search. A 5. Oh, we have found our druid friend again. Viola comes upon the fair Bulliga once more, taking care of some plants that have gotten in a tangle. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to say that she's found him dealing with some Scramble Bramble that got itself tied in a knot as it tried to run away from something. As he gently teases the thorned vines apart to set them free, covered in scratches himself, Viola comes up. Hey, hen! Oh, hi! How's it going? How's the willow? Viola grimaces. Unfortunately, not great. One of the kids from the village got into the garden, and they sort of dug it up. I wasn't able to save it. Oh, that's too bad. Here, maybe I can help you out with something. Draw a card and treat it as a plant of the same value. A joker does not count. However, I'm going to set that to the side because potentially we found a clue in the meantime. A 2. Oh, there is not much that's a 2. Shield Cap. Alright, Hen says, I don't know if there's any more saplings. You might have to search. That was the only one I knew of. But, here, I've got something else that was maybe interesting. It can be useful. He finishes untangling the Scramble Bramble, and the thorned vines immediately start swooshing their way through the undergrowth, moving away from disturbance. Hen brushes off his hands, bends down, and parts some ferns to reveal some Shield Cap, a blue steel-colored mushroom, used by the smaller fae as a buckler, thanks to its incredibly strong cap, grows near the base of oak trees. Take some of this. Might be useful to you. If not now, then later. Thanks, Hen. I really appreciate it. I'm really hoping that I can find another willow, but if not, maybe I should plant something else. Haven't given up yet, though. Good luck to you. Stick to the riverside, the streams. Likelier to find them there. I know. I'll keep looking. Thanks again, and good luck with everything. You as well. Viola heads off and stumbles upon a potential new exploration. So, first steps. The Joker is going to trigger one more card, which is a 5. You find out that the witch had a preferred branch of magic. Illusions, dimension traveling, time, etc. What was it? You know what? I'm going to say that this is before parting ways with Hen. They talk. Hen has met Agnes the witch. As they're discussing, just memories and disappearance and stuff, Hen might bring up this little tidbit. What was Agnes particularly skilled with, magically speaking? What did Agnes practice the most? I am looking for suggestions openly at this point, because this is very much a, this is a make it up as you go sort of thing. And I'm not sure I have ideas necessarily. There are so many options. We do know from, like, the letter that was left behind, the explanation for why there's not a lot of upgrades. She was definitely not someone with a green thumb. She was bad at gardening. That's why there was only one garden plot and it was empty. She did at some point have hives and paddocks for animals, but she set them all loose. She had a pet pony named Carrot Cake. We've already established that. So it could be something more animal related. It could also be completely unrelated to that, like the book suggested. It could be time magic, it could be dimensions, it could be some form of travel or something else. It could be illusions or invisibilities, or it could be like wards or protections potentially that might have fallen when she left the cottage. Enchanting objects and creating artifacts. That's interesting. Yeah, okay. Okay. So the village of High Rannoc has a tower called, I believe, like, it's something like the Lunar Tower, the Lunar something like that. And it can be used to enchant your tools, to kind of give you a bit of a boost. In fact, it is something that I can technically take advantage of, if we want to, because, it is possible to basically decrease the timer at any point during an ailment. You can decrease the timer by 1 to go to the village, visit services detailed below. So that includes the Lunar Tower. There it is. You can tune your equipment and have better luck at finding the reagents you seek. Draw a card and gain foraging points equal to half of its value. So there is a clear enchantment thing. There's a ritual circle where you can find a, where you can unlock some stuff. Change reagents to another. Enchanting objects and creating artifacts. Okay, yeah. Yeah. She didn't leave much behind. She probably would have taken all her artifacts with her, or sold them over time. So whatever reason she would have for that, could tie into why she's missing. Agnes had a knack for enchanting objects. Okay, I'm going to tie that into another thing, which is that there is a optional, like, supplemental homebrew thing that came as part of the package for this game, which is the ability to make your own wand instead of simply buying it as an upgrade. Now, technically, it requires you to build a particular upgrade that is like twice as expensive as just buying a hand-me-down wand. And so, if Agnes had that, then it would have been one of the things she dismantled or got rid of before leaving. But I think it's fair to say that there is a space in the cottage for exactly that upgrade, for that workstation, as it were. It's just empty and dismantled right now because maybe it was too volatile to leave unattended. Maybe it was too valuable to simply leave for anybody to mess with or take. And so it was taken apart. Alright. Agnes had a knack for enchanting objects, and we learned that from Hen. Alright. Hen tells us of this, tells us of the time that Agnes, perhaps enchanted a sickle for him to make pruning and trimming plants easier and less stressful for them. It's really a throwaway detail that he shares. He doesn't think much of it, but for us, that is potentially quite useful. So, that is a foraging point for trying to find our new tree. And we're going to continue on with it. Let's see. Oh, the boar tracks were also a foraging point. Let me go ahead and I should have 2 up there. I have not been keeping good track of this. Alright. I think that's also a timer down, unfortunately, though. I'm very distracted by trying to keep track of everything right now. I'm doing my best. Alright. We continue to try to find that willow. Oh, so close! Oh no, it's the pixies! Oh no, it's the pixies with their caber toss. They are once again playing at cabers, and once again we are invited to play. Invited quite forcefully, in fact. Invited and not given much option to choose otherwise. I'm going to go ahead and down the timer and put up my foraging point now. So, our toss options are very low. Oh god, if I get another king on their side again, I swear. We actually won, guys! Alright, we actually won. The highest single value card wins. If you win, they begrudgingly give you 10 silver. And it's already worth it. Alright. The little pixies hand over 10 silver and immediately whirl off to take their games elsewhere. Somewhere where they maybe won't get beaten once. With that, however, we are going to continue to forage for that willow. We find it. Okay, we also find something else. You find a wounded animal laying next to an old oak tree. Draw on the familiar list to see what it is. If you can heal its wound during this ailment, it will provide a familiar bonus whenever you're in Glimmerwood Grove. You may return to this event at any time after drawing it. I don't know what that means, but okay. Okay, so we need to draw on the familiar list to see what kind of animal it is, and to see if we can heal its wound during this upgrade, during this ailment. Okay, so that does decrease some time. Oh, speaking of which, I need to actually move values. Okay, so, first of all, a 5 is a corvid, raven, crow, or magpie. Alright, I think that we just found an injured, crow. So, that is, let's see, it has a wound. Do we have reagents on hand that can cure wound? Oh, we do not. We do not. Okay. No, wait. We just found a, we just found the surgeon sap. Ah! I gotta do it. Viola finds the nurse willow nearby. I'm gonna say she doesn't find a sapling. She finds a mature tree. And nearby, a crow, wounded. She knows one thing she can do. She draws some sap from the willow and feeds it raw straight to the crow to heal wound. The crow gulps it down. And it will now provide a familiar bonus whenever you're in Glimmerwood Grove. So, let's see. I'm going to sacrifice my ability to plant a nurse willow to heal the crow. Get familiar bonus every time in Glimmerwood. So that also gets drawn for. Allow me to find my familiars list real quick. Okay, so depending on what card we get determines what the bonus is. The Joker does not count. I am going to disregard the Joker. I'm not even going to treat it as an event because it isn't. So, 8. That is a Hunter. So the Hunter bonus, reduce the foraging value of all animal reagents by 3 to a minimum of 1. Okay. That is actually makes a good amount of sense with a crow. Because I would say this basically turns into animal reagents being, you show up, the crow is there waiting, you mention what you're looking for, the crow is smart, it's magically healed by a witch. Not a familiar level, but close. And it flies off and leads you to, get your attention and calls you to the thing that you're looking for. All right. With that. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go for the willow again. I have basically until it's at 1, at which point, I'm gonna say I have until 2, at which point I have to get back to the cottage before it hits 13. So, I have 2 more attempts at finding another nurse willow sapling. A 3 definitely is not it. Alright, however, it is more boar tracks, leading right to a reagent. Let me go ahead and pop things up here. Not that the foraging track matters unless I, like, double it up. So, more boar tracks leading right to a reagent. Draw a card and treat it as a plant of the same value. Please, Queen. Okay, so that's 12. I'm gonna see if there's a plant at 12 or higher, 12 or lower, rather. That's animal. Nope, 12, not 13. 12, 12, 12. Okay, so I can just say, hey, it's lower than 12. I'm going to take the 8. But in fairness, I wanted to see if there was one of the same value, just to be like, okay, do I have to take that? I don't think there is. I don't think there is. Like, I think Surgeon Tap is literally the highest. No, Foot Fungus is technically higher. And I really don't want to mess with that. I'm just gonna heckin' take it. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna say that I've got a Surgeon sapling. I've got a Nurse Willow sapling. Again. Found just in time. Okay. After that entire misadventure, Viola heads home. She mixes up, once again, a hair of boar and pixie fur potion. Would you say this puts hair on the chest? Or does it take hair from the chest for the cough and the rash and all of that? Regardless, she is able to cure Tiana the Traveler of pollen pox. And with that, we enter downtime for the week. So, weekly downtime is going to be, let's see. First of all, 1 pip to plant the nurse willow. Let's see, that is, as I actually bring up my my values and everything, Surgeon Sap. 1 point of sweet. I'm just gonna go ahead and actually, that is entirely too much to fit on this. I don't have a lot of space for my upgrades, so I am going to make a new thing real quick. Hand out. Gardens. So I think that we just generally have this available with the garden. I'm assuming it's renewable. I do not know if there's any limits to how often you can pull from it. The game does not specify anything of that sort. So, I'm just assuming that I can generally get a bit of Surgeon Sap, which might be a little extra powerful because it's a point of sweet. However, speaking of which, I now have 70 gold and am a novice level 8. Okay. Alright, so we did a bit of that. Right. I think that the other thing to do is potentially to get a little bit further on golem repair. So I'm gonna say we take Carrot Cake the pony up the mountain for a little exercise. And we're going to spend some time doing 1, 2, 3, 4 points with 1 to get back of golem repair. There we go. Alright. That brings us to the 4th week of spring. Going to recall, shuffle, done. What I probably should have done is gone and purchased an upgrade. I'm not sure if that takes downtime though. I don't know that it does. I think that you just pay and you get the upgrade. Okay, so, if I want to, I can keep going. Technically, if we do 1... You know what? I'm gonna save up. Because 10 more silver, basically 1 more potion, would get us the Athame needed to use the ritual circle in the village, and we can get a familiar, and I think that is a good place to... a good upgrade to kind of stop on. So, let's go with that, and let's get a new ailment and a new individual that is currently suffering that ailment. Hoping for a fun one. Alright, Queen. Oh man. Oh man. Alright. Okay. So, this is an ailment called Toad Nose. It has warts, 1 star, and mood, 1 star. The notes on it used to be that they called it Witch's Nose. Thankfully, enough people got turned into pigs for them to change it. Essentially just a wart. The afflicted might have more if unlucky. Alright, so... which villager has a toad nose? Which villager has a wart on the nose? It could be someone we've met before. It could be somebody new. Let's see. There we go. So we've run into a few people so far. Some have just passed by, like Tiana and Devanka. There's a Fomorian, there's the farmer who lost his pigs, that could potentially be something. There's the little brat. There's potentially the balloonist, if we want to have a character come back with something that we've already met. or we can come up with a new one. Let's see. I don't mind picking a new character, honestly. Let's go. Who shall the afflicted be? Who has come crying to the witch, with a handkerchief pressed over their nose to hide the disfigurement that they woke up in the morning and found? I'll say possibly somebody of some amount of influence in the village. Somebody who cares a great deal about their appearance, perhaps. Alright, I've rolled a name. The guy's name is Garrett. So, what does Garrett speak to you? What does Garrett care about having a giant wart on the side of his nose? Perhaps he is a figure of some authority. Perhaps Garrett is a member of, like, a village council or watch. Perhaps if the village has a headman or the equivalent of a mayor on a smaller scale, a reeve, perhaps. Yeah, mayor or village chieftain, yeah. I think if I'm using reeve correctly, then that's a thing. Let me go ahead and double check that. What is a reeve, if I'm remembering correctly? A local official, in particular the chief magistrate of a town or district in Anglo-Saxon England. Maybe Garrett the Reeve. He's a magistrate, he cares a lot about his appearance, and he absolutely cannot be having a wart on his nose with an important meeting coming up with some of the craftsmen of the and shop owners and such of the village. It cannot be done. So we have Garrett the Reeve with Toad Nose. All right. So we need to do something about the warts, and also his mood has taken a bit of a downswing. So, like, if we can somehow fix that, that would indeed be ideal. Let's see. Do we have something on hand that can help with either of those, warts or mood? We don't. All right. Oh, also, there is no timer restriction, because he's basically not suffering anything other than, you know, feels bad. So we'll just put that there. So let's see. Nurse Willow is wound and burn, so that's not going to help. We need warts and mood. Also, the pigs are... If we can find something in Mountain and Hollow, then we can potentially find piggies. So that would be nice. I wouldn't be surprised if I can find a warts thing maybe in the Hollow. I could have that wrong. Let's see. Warts and mood. Warts. Ah. Oh, I can't get the basilisk's gaze without a wand. I just don't have the ability. Alright. Poison and pain. Cough, hot, magic, sleep. Warts honestly might be a lock thing if it's a frog or toad sort of deal. Vampire venom for mood, but that is going to be very difficult to find, so I don't know. Guys. Maybe, but maybe not. Let's just kind of keep looking just in case there's something else. Ooh, that is not a lot of options. Okay, that is unfortunate. I don't want to have to go for that. Let's see. Warts and mood. Echo? Oh no, that's a wand. God, this guy really did turn up with the most terrible affliction to try to fix. Let's see. I feel like I am somehow missing it. What the hell? is there really nothing that can be done for mood aside from vampire venom? Alright, maybe not in the mountains. We might not get a piggy. It's unfortunate, but we've got time. There it is. Scramble Bramble can do mood, but it does add a point of poison, which we can cancel with a bit of sweet. And it's really just a minor ding to how much money he's willing to pay. So we could just take it, but... Fairy Dust, actually, doesn't do that. It's only 6 in the forest, as the Scramble Bramble's 3. That's okay. So, that's okay, it's okay. We can consider the Fairy Dust for 6 because we do have time. But that is... Oh, Princess Toad for mood. Okay, so the thing is, we cannot get a Princess Toad and expect to have wart and mood all at once because you have to get one reagent for one effect. So basically, we can track down the Princess Toad and find the mucus, or we can track down and find the droppings. Now, we do have a hunting bonus within the Glimmerwood, so that would be reduced by 3, but it is still fairly high. Oh, Songberries! Oh, that's easy! Songberries 2 for a point of mood and a point of sweet. Hold on a second. If we can find one that's wart and wart alone, then we could also get a bonus for doing it perfectly. Okay, hold on. I'm going to put Songberries down for mood for sure, because I think that is the best way to go about it. Songberries, Forest 2, one sweet. I'm just gonna leave that be. Okay. Princess Toad is going to be wart and rash. It will not be perfect. I'll take it if I have to, because that might be the only one that has warts in here. Because, yeah, the thorns are mood and senses, so that doesn't help. That's mood and curse. Okay. Princess Toad is wart, but also rash, so it won't be that super precise way of doing it. It's also got a very high foraging value, though the crow will definitely help. I just want to see if I've got a better option somewhere, anywhere else. So, real quick, I'm just going to double check. I don't think there were any warts in here, but I might look at the loch real quick because I think there was a frog there, just in case. Yeah, nothing in the hollow. What does the loch look like? Blood, mood, senses, time, nerves, pain, boils, lungs, pain and return, parasite infection, blood, ear blood, stomach, warts, smooth croak. Oh, we can do this perfectly, guys. We can do this perfectly with a point of sweet. This can be so good, and they're easy. They're both easy. They're both 2. Oh, we've got this. Oh, yes! This guy's wart on his nose is going to be so simple to deal with. Like, the only downside is we aren't going to find any pigs with all the time we have, unfortunately, unless we decide to bugger off to the mountain or hollow and find something random. Oh, we have so much time. Let's do this. Okay. Let's go ahead and, let's head to the Glimmerwood Grove first. And from there, let's see. So all we need to do is hit a 2. Technically we could get an ace and have to do another event, but let's do this. 10, definitely. Oh, I never cleared my tracker, from before. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna really need it much, but wee! Alright. So, a 10. We definitely have found our Songberries in doing this. Oh, it's once again the fairy circle for lose a foraging point, which honestly doesn't matter at this point. We find the songberries, we pack them in the bag. As we're heading out of the forest, we trip. Viola hits her head and rolls down a bit of a slope. Groggily, she lays at the base, surrounded by fairy mushrooms. Once again, a voice is speaking a language she can't understand. This time she thinks she sees some little figure with a face, pointing a tiny hand between her eyes, the bridge of her nose. Her eyes cross, trying to catch it and see it, but that makes her woozier, and she passes out very briefly. She wakes up in the fairy circle. The lump on her head is already reduced. She reaches up and her hand comes away sticky, sap worked into her hair. She gets up, checks that the songberries are still there. They are. Not much the worse for wear. Peels herself out of the undergrowth and heads out of the forest. Whoops, that way. And towards the mountain. Ah, no, the loch. My bad. Heads towards the loch. We are going to be moving relatively quickly, I think. At the loch, what does she find? Well, number one, the smooth croak. So, notes on the smooth croak. These colorful frogs are so unbelievably smooth, I had to put up signs reminding visitors not to stroke them. Sure, it makes your skin baby soft, but it really hurts the frog. Use wet gloves for this one. Remembering the notes, Viola comes with a pair of gloves that she wets in the loch before approaching the sound of croaking. On a 9. Oh, that's fun. Alright. For this, it is assumed she has a boat of some kind. I will say that she finds a small boat on the shore that somebody had left there for general use. As she's paddling about the shallows trying to find the frogs, she does so. Picks one up and scrapes just a little bit of the slime into a bottle before releasing it again. Stripping off the gloves, she considers heading back. I do reduce this for that. As she does, she hears the most beautiful singing coming from one of the small islands near the shore. Compelled, Viola rows over quickly as she can. And there on the rocks, she meets a siren. The siren stops singing abruptly, with a quiet "oh" of surprise. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know anybody was out here. I was practicing. Yeah, sorry to take you out of your way. Here, let me make it up to you. My name. What is the siren's name? I can pick one. Also, is the siren, as it's not specified, male, female, neither? What is the flavor of choice? This is at the very least not a siren that's interested in wrecking us on the rocks or, like, I don't know, going full kelpie and eating our liver or anything. It's friendly. They're friendly. And they have also offered to catch a fish of your choice to make amends. Of your choice is very powerful. That is potentially a bit of a extra reagent we can have on hand. So, fish. Let us assume that it must be animal in that case. We could get a golden scale guppy, which is poison and quite a bit of it, but potentially useful. A shockfish that we don't have to deal with ourselves. Nerves, pain, and boils. Potentially very helpful. And 7 is not something to sneeze at. Shadow shark. I'd say that's technically a fish. Removes a point of sweet, but does a fair bit and is hard to find. Get a dentist crab. I don't know if that counts as a fish. The wigfish definitely does, but I'm gonna leave that be for now. Fossil fish. Huh. Well then, that's potentially useful. I'm gonna say sea beast saliva might not be that much of a fish, per se. That's algae. And then these are mostly things that are just kind of found nearby. So, a fish of your choice. A fish of your choice. I'm going to say shockfish. I'm going to say that, upon the song ending, Viola shakes her head and kind of, it clears up very quickly. While the apologies are appreciated, there's still a little bit of witchy annoyance at being pulled out of her way. So when the siren offers, I can catch something, whatever you choose, whatever you like, any fish that you can find here. Agnes thinks to the tome of reagents that she's studied. And maybe there's something just a little bit needlessly vindictive. Maybe she feels a little bit bad about it immediately after saying it. That causes her to say, you know, I've heard that shockfish are pretty useful. The siren's face falls a little, but they promised. So they smile again and says, ah yes, one shockfish coming right up. Wait here. The siren splashes away and comes up very soon after, with a shockfish in hand, going zzz, 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 as the siren winces and tosses it into the boat. Alright, I still haven't decided the siren's name. Let's just go ahead and see what I get here. Alright. I ended up with a choice without choosing male or female list of Taras or Seraphina. And I think Seraphina the Siren kind of fits a lot. So, we have Seraphina. And we may very well run across her again sometime. At this point, we've got quite a few of these reagents just on hand. We can probably just start using some of them as much as possible. Yeah, I can't resist the alliteration. Like, Taras has that S at the end, but Seraphina starts with it. And so it's, it flows a little better. Okay. With that, we have both of the ingredients that we need to deal with Garrett's toad nose. However, we also have quite a bit of time on our hands, and potentially some piggies to find. So, I think that we can just go ahead and, maybe head to some other areas. Like, for example, maybe we'll go down to Heroes Hollow and just see what we can find. Let's see, what is potentially useful? Any number of things, honestly. We could potentially go for something that is, relatively, high value, because we have a lot of time. Let's see. Let's go for something that has a lot of applications, potentially, because we can always try to go for something, if we want precision later, but lots of applications just means we have something very quickly on hand. So, Hero's Hollow. Higher end. Honestly, salamander urine, as terrible as that sounds, these lava-loving lizards live near rivers and lakes of the stuff. Be stealthy. If you're too loud, they'll leap in and you'll never get them. At a point of sweet. That is hot and cold. Either or, basically. So actually, it's a good split, where I'm not getting both things. It's not boiled for curse and rash. It's boiled for hot or raw for cold. So that would be interesting. That would be interesting. Let's go ahead and see if we can find some lava salamanders. In the Hero's Hollow. So, travel ticks it down by 1. And Hero's Hollow goes there. Let's see what we can find. First of all, we see if we find a piggy. 1d2. A 2 is a yes. And salamander urine was an 8, so we do technically find the salamanders. Near a river of lava, we come upon the little creatures skittering about. And also a pig laying on the ground as they skitter over it, seemingly enjoying the warmth, not too close to the lava, but unwilling to move for time being. We get just close enough to catch a salamander and get a vial underneath it. Collect what we need to, and set it loose again. After that, it's simply a matter of getting the pig and luring it out of the dungeon. Let's say we picked up some extra songberries when we were in the forest, and we sort of dole a couple of them out, one by one, leading the pig away. Bit by bit, we lure it out of the dungeon and back towards town. All right. Well, since we've managed to find one thing and also a pig, I feel like we can go towards, I think it's the mountain that we haven't found the piggy in yet. 1 second while I copy things over, as you can see. More useful stuff. Okay. Glon's pigs. Yeah, it's the mountain that we haven't found yet. So, knowing we have a fair bit of time left, all things considered, what shall we go to? What shall we go for on the mountain? Let's see, we don't have a wand, so we cannot do that. Honestly, a bit of candy rock, not for any reagent sense, but just 4 points of sweet, could be really fun. I like the idea of that, just to have it on hand just in case, or to just cash in on it so fast. Let's try and go to the mountains and see if we can find a bit of candy rock. Alright. So, Viola heads out of the hollow, up the path, past High Rannoc, toward Moonbreaker Mountain. She's heard rumors, she's read the book. The story says that once a sorcerer came through High Rannoc a few years back and tried to turn it into a desert. Thankfully, he was both incompetent and illiterate, so we got patches of dessert. Most of it's been eaten by now, but you can still find some bits out there. This is a fantastic bit of world building, I really have to say. That is great. Alright, so we're aiming for a 9 in order to get Candy Rock. Let's see if we get it. Alright, not this time. However, we can keep trying. In the meantime, Moonbreaker Mountain Exploration, a 5. Oh, it's our hot air balloon buddy! It's Rye! Alright, hot air balloon weighs anchor next to you, and the eccentric balloonist offers a lift to wherever you'd like to go. Hi Rye, I'm looking to see if I can find any of those patches of dessert that I've heard about out here, the rock candy. Oh, I don't know, we found most of the ones on the lower slopes, but I can take you to a higher one. Much appreciated. So, we are going to increase the timer by 1. Boop. Right back up. Oh, I was supposed to see if I get a pig. You know what? I had too much fun with the idea of Rye showing up, so I'm going to see if the pig is on the higher slopes. Let's go with that. We continue to search for rock candy. 7 isn't quite enough. Let's see if we get a pig instead of an event. We do not get a pig. So, event instead. As you pass through a small valley in the foothills, a sphinx leaps up onto a podium-like rock. Well, we're on the heights, but whatever. And proclaims that you must answer their riddle if you wish to pass. What was the riddle? Okay, so, if I have anybody out there, this is your chance, right now, right here. Find a riddle, put it into the chat, and see if I can answer it without looking it up. If you have a chance for it, go for it. Otherwise, I'm going to be posing a riddle to myself, which is almost cheating, but it is a solo game, so it's clearly how it's meant to be played. Nevertheless, I would much prefer to see a riddle shared here. Be warned, I have read a lot of riddles. I might know the answer not because I am clever, just because I have a somewhat working memory and have come across it before. The other thing to keep in mind is the Sphinx is not going to eat Viola because that is not how the game works. Instead, Viola might just be turned away. She might just have to find a different path. And it's not going to have, like, a consequence or anything. This is just something that can have a recurring event and then a relationship with the Sphinx. So. Sphinx riddle in mountain. What have we got, if anybody's out there? First one to put a riddle in, if there are multiple of you, I don't know, gets to try to stump me. It might not be hard if I've never seen the riddle before, to be quite honest. So let's see. In the meantime, I am just making notes. Ah, that one I have seen before. So, what is so fragile that saying its name breaks it? Silence. That is a good one. I like that one. It's kind of in the same vein of, like, what gets wetter the more it dries. But, alright. I don't think there's any other... There we go. What gets wetter the more it dries? Don't know that one. I can give you the answer. It is a towel. All right. The Sphinx poses the riddle. You answer silence. Viola answers silence. The Sphinx nods and says, "Acceptable. You may proceed." And then leaps away into the light, flying off on broad wings. With that, we continue our search for the elusive rock candy, as that does decrease the timer. There we go. Oh, another 7. I'm gonna say we're not doing another Sphinx riddle immediately, so I'm gonna just skip that and continue with another event. Did I draw a ace and then drop it? I did. Whoops. You know what? We're gonna go ahead and call it the ace instead of the 7, because the 7 was a misdraw. So the ace is there. The 7 will be if I have to draw a card for this event. So, ace. You find a lost sheep in a moss-covered cave. Well, it's not the pig I'm looking for, but it recognizes you and bounces over. The shepherd lives on the other side of the mountain, but it might get hurt if you leave it here. If you guide it back home, decrease timer by 2, but add 3 sweet to this potion. Honestly, don't mind if I do. So we're decreasing the timer by 2. Return sheep. What is the shepherd's name? Is it just Shep the Shepherd? Let's see. Seth the Shepherd? Let's see. Sigwald isn't a bad one. Sigwald the Shepherd. Okay. I'm gonna say Shepherd Sigwald. Alright, we return the sheep to Sigwald, who offers us a small jar of honey that he had on hand in thanks. We take it and think, you know, this is really gonna make that potion go down very nicely, and Garrett the Reeve, he can afford to pay some extra. He really can. So, at this point, we can abandon our search for the rock candy, because we don't have a lot of time left. I think at this point, we're just going to head back, and we're going to make the potion. Warts, cured with smooth croak. Mood with songberries. 1 point of sweet from the songberries, 3 points of sweet for a good deed done. At 4 points of sweet, each point adds a value of 4 silver to the potion. At a base value of 20 plus 16, we get 36 silver. We've got 106 total. And we've managed to cure it perfectly, putting us directly at 10, the peak of novice. Eventually, we might be able to break through into an intermediate level. For now, however, we've got just a little bit of downtime we can do. And I think that our downtime, part of it, is going to be in first, the purchase of an athame. So that is 80 silver, brings us down to 26. That is a check mark right here. Ha! That is clunky as anything. Let me see if I can do a little bit better with that. Let's go small instead of regular. There we go. Still a little janky, but it's at least there. Alright. And with the athame, what we can do is, I think the athame is for the calling ritual. Let me just double check that real quick. Yep, needed in order to use the ritual circle. Oh, the ritual circle in the village isn't the familiar. I mistook that. Okay. You know what? I made a mistake. So I think that instead of that, let me just go ahead and backtrack that. We can do the familiar circle anytime without needing a special tool. I do, however, want to get an upgrade. And I am going to go ahead and get a sickle upgrade. That is only 50 silver, so we're a little better off. 50, there we go. Because a sickle allows foraging points to increase by 2 instead of 1, so we're going to be able to find things faster if we get too many events. So that's also important. But the Athame is more if we have a lot of like low-level things, we can trade them to get higher-level ones, which also isn't bad, but I misunderstood it. I thought that was needed for the familiar ritual. But no, the familiar ritual is not the same as the ritual circle. Alright. Okay. I think we're gonna go ahead and spend some of the downtime right here doing a ritual. So, the calling ritual says head out into nature to whichever locale you feel most comfortable in and create a circle of stones and flowers. Put your magic into them and sit in the center. In time, you will hear a voice calling you. Answer it and guide your familiar to you. Write about this ritual in your journal. Alright. So then. The locale is flavor. I'm going to go ahead and randomize it a little bit. And then we're going to deal with whatever that says about Viola as a character. It's going to be interesting if she gets Hero's Hollow. So, going down, I'll say that I'm going to roll a d4. 1 is Glimmerwood, 2 is Mountains, 3 is Loch, 4 is Hollow. That is 3 for the Loch. Alright, this does not influence the form of the familiar. Any of these can come from anywhere. So, the base game says to choose the form of the familiar and then choose the ability. However, the commentary on making of the game does admit that it makes more sense in some ways to do it the other way around. We're going to go ahead and draw a card because that is the ability of the familiar cannot be chosen. It can only be random. The form can be chosen instead of random. So I'm going to draw a card and find out what skill the familiar has. Let's go ahead and pop down a 2. Scout. Increase all ailment timers by 2. Basically, the Scout is going to give us more time. At least aside from downtime and when there's no timer. So, Scout. Ailment timers +2. That will be potentially very useful as we get things that are a lot more tightly managed, difficult. The second part is going to be the form of the familiar. We can choose that freely, or we can draw for it. I'm going to draw just to see what random chance gives us. However, if you have a thought, go ahead and share. We can go between them. A 6 on a random draw would be some form of snake. To be honest, not my personal favorite aesthetic, but it's fine. So, is Viola's familiar a snake, or is it chat's choice? Because technically it can be any number of other things. let's see. If I draw a second card for other option, just to go between them, snake or corvid, we already have a crow bestie in the forest. So I think that something else makes sense. Sparrow for bird or some ferret-like animal. Okay. Either of those is interesting. Either one of those could work as well. Ferret-like animal would be if we want to have, like, it's a furry snake. Because technically ferrets or weasels or anything like that don't have their own category unless you count rodent, which I don't think they technically are. So we could go out of category for sure and just be like, yeah, it's a ferret, it's a mink, it's something like that. Thinking about it, going to the loch and finding a familiar there would make sense for a mink. I'm pretty sure that mink do like to have burrows in, like, riversides, lakesides, that sort of thing. Because I believe they can swim as well. And that would also be, like, a good flavor excuse for why it is useful scouting for things, even in the wet areas, even in the loch and everything. I like the idea of the mink. What shall be the mink's name as a familiar? As the voice calls out, you answer, Viola answers, and guides the familiar to her location, to her circle. A mink comes sliding and slipping up the waterside, onto the shore. It skitters over to the edge of the circle, and props its paws up on a rock, and looks up at its witch. And it says, "Hello. We're not introduced yet, but I'm about to be the best thing that's ever happened to you." Part of me wants to name the mink Stinky. Stinky the mink. But that is not dignified at all. I think that is something that the familiar gets called when it's been up to some nonsense. Let's see. We can randomize the name. What's a 91 give? Virgil! Virgil the mink! I think that's great. Virgil the mink. Alright. Alright. We take Virgil the mink as a familiar. We then head on up to the mountains and have more than enough time. More than enough time to finish repairing the golem. Oh, technically I actually don't need this anymore. I can just delete that entirely. So let's go ahead and put down. That's not where I want to be. Thank you. Down a little bit. Virgil, familiar, mink. Technically, it's spelled with an ER in the book, so I'll just go with the ER. It is a misspelling, technically, but I don't care. Scout. And then, aside from that, we've got a golem. Technically, it's considered an upgrade, but I'm going to put it under aid, as it is a little bit of a helper. Let's see. I think it's technically actually under tools. Golem Helper. So, a stone golem from up in the mountains, this gentle giant has come down to help around the cottage as thanks for you repairing it. It can be tasked to one of 3 things at a time, and you may change its task each season. So right now, it can tend, it can make, or it can search. And I am actually going to copy this particular token, paste, to put on whichever thing it is currently doing. So, recall, shuffle. So, tend, make, and search. Tend. The golem has a soft touch and a green thumb. It tends to your garden plots, hives, and haddocks for the duration of the season. At the end of the season, double the number of reagents you receive from the resources. Oh, you receive 1 at the end of the season, I take it. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so it's not constantly on hand. It's per season it gives you the 1 thing. I'm guessing. That was not made terribly clear to me. A garden plot can be used to grow any 1 plant of foraging value 8 or lower. So, okay, it makes a lot more sense now to not have to fill the thing, because I thought it was a repeatable. Okay, so I did waste a bit of time with that homebrew because I didn't understand exactly how it worked. That's okay. End of the season, I get something from the garden plot. So, we're not going to worry about that too much. For the future. Now I know. You get it end of season. Okay. Anyhow, we can double the number of reagents received from the sources. I don't have a lot of others, but I could get some as the thing goes on, and I'll probably get another garden plot soon. Otherwise, make. With a little more than magical strength and enduring effort, the golem can be tasked to build almost any upgrade for free, but it takes the full season to do so while it works tirelessly. It's not actually all that good at it and takes a few attempts to get it right. So we can get a free upgrade at the end of the season, which is probably very valuable early game. Search is we give it a shopping list of 10 different reagents. It heads off into the wilderness to find them, returning at the end of the season with 1 of each reagent on the list, a useful way to find rare ingredients without spending the time yourself. Okay. If we use make, we can get a free upgrade at the end of the season. And some of those upgrades are very expensive, to be quite honest. And could be really useful. Alright. In all fairness, I'm going to say that I'm not going to pick the expensive ones for right now. I am going to pick a lower level one that I could, in theory, otherwise get myself. Let's see. You know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and task the golem with making that optional supplemental thing to allow me to make my own wands. I'm gonna go ahead and get that going. It's a little bit of a pricier thing with the way it's written, but also, it's like twice the value of buying a wand yourself. So, I'm just gonna have the golem make that, and at the end of the season, I am going to be able to make my own wand. Okay. All right. That brings us to the end there. Okay. I think as one final thing, let's go ahead and give ourselves a one more clue. One more clue in the search. Gonna draw a card. It's a queen. Interesting. You find an old wand or staff of the witches. Unfortunately, it's broken, but you might be able to repair it. What does it look like? What is it made of? Alright. I'm gonna say it's a really relatively old one. It got left behind fully. It's kind of in a trash heap out back as the golem helps me turn it over at the end of this 4th week of the season. The shattered bits are, let's see, actually, I'm gonna open up that, hold on. I am going to open up the Wandcraft bonus. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna, yeah, I guess it's visible for everybody. So making a wand has 2 key components, wood and core. So the core can be any reagent you find, and it can serve as a wand core. The wood is the body of the wand, and every locale has its own unique wood. Choose a reagent for the core and locale to get the wood from. So I am going to, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 options. I'm gonna go ahead and, oh, I don't have a D8 out. Hold on. I gotta get into my dice. There's an 8. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and roll basically down the line for what kind of wood it is. This is pure flavor, there is no function to this, but also sneak peek at what the wand components are. So, 2 is Blastfire Bog, a place we have not been and cannot get to currently. That is an upgrade in order to actually get there. So, Fireproof Willow Wood blackened by the bog, which, okay, that's interesting. So the reagents can be pretty much anything. Let's stick with the bog idea. If we look in Glimmerwood Grove, bog is a secondary location split off of that. So anything that's got that darker green highlight could be a reagent of the bog. Fairy Dust is an option. Surgeon Sap is an option. Some sort of mucus from the Princess Toad is an option. Coffee Cap. A Snake's Promise. You need a wand to get it, but this could be a cycle of wands. Let's say this was an earlier wand that came later. Amethyst Antlers. Cynic Ivy is like a poison ivy that makes you cynical. Pixie Fur. Innocent Suffering, but requires a wand to collect. Deep Reed. Crow Coal. Skullcap. Silverleaf. That's about it. I think I like the idea of... I think that maybe Agnes had a little bit of a cynical side. I think Agnes might have had a core of Cynic Ivy that's gotten all kind of twisted up and old in the meantime. It's worn out in that blackened willow bogwood. Old wand that has seen better days. It's not the right fit for Viola. It's not something she would repair. Instead, she just finds a safe place to tuck it away. Agnes threw it out. It's trash, it's useless, and yet, in trying to find her, or find what happened to her, it's at least something that is left behind. With that, I think we'll go ahead and leave the stream there. We got through an entire month of spring, and as the season rolls on, more will be done and more will be recovered. For right now, though, time moves on, And the cottage is starting to look just a little bit livelier, with a golem trundling about, trying to build a wand crafting altar, and a mink bustling about, rolling around, and having a scampering time digging holes beneath the garden fence. We will go ahead and pick that up next time. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the suggestions. Have a good one. Bye.